Joining us now, Congressman Jason Smith from House Ways and Means. Congressman, it's always a pleasure to have you on as well. Let's look at this first. Okay, you know, U.S. law enforcement is warning protests expected this Mother's Day. Some of these protests could get violent after the leak of the Supreme Court opinion on Roe v. Wade. But watch the White House press secretary defending protests at the personal homes of Supreme Court justices this weekend. We've never seen this before. Watch this.
Peter, look, I think our view here is that peaceful protest, there's a long history in the United States and the country of that. Look, I think the president's view is that there's a lot of passion, a lot of fear, a lot of sadness from many, many people across this country about what they saw in that leaked document.
So he doesn't care if they're protesting outside the Supreme Court or outside someone's private residence?
I don't have an official U.S. government position on where people protest. We want it, of course, to be peaceful.
Your reaction, so no condemnation, no warnings, no orders, or any comments to say, not orders, say don't do the violence, stop the violence, your reaction?
Liz, it's unacceptable. It's just like this administration and Washington Democrats not condemning the billions of dollars in property damage that was done by the Antifa rallies just a year ago. The fact that they're not condemning the fact that these left-wing groups issued the home addresses of Supreme Court justices and that they're promoting this kind of activity, or at least not condemning it, is unacceptable. It's very similar to what they did to my home senator, Josh Hawley, whenever they went to his home right after his wife had their newborn child just to protest there. This is unacceptable.
You know, it would be wrong if protesters showed up at the personal home of Jen Psaki. And Democrats were outraged when activists showed up at the personal home of IRS official Lois Lerner and Obama's IRS targeting of conservatives. I mean, you know, so what we're seeing now is we've got Senator John Cornyn. He's resorting to having to push a bill for 24/7 security detail for Supreme Court justices. This is the United States. We stand for law and order and peace. We've already got what Attorney General William Barr called urban guerrilla warfare, and we have Democrats in their convention in 2020 not condemning the defund the police riots that killed 30. There wasn't a vociferous, we had tearing down statues, mobs going after Senator Rand Paul. Why not more vocal condemnation from Democrats on this?
If you remember, Liz, just a few years ago, the Democrats, including Maxine Waters, was telling protesters to get in the face of cabinet secretaries of Donald Trump. You had Sarah Huckabee Sanders going out to dinner with her family and having protesters abruptly coming into their face. How these liberals act whenever they have a difference in opinions is absolutely unacceptable. Democrats say they believe in diversity, but they don't believe in diversity of thought. I can tell you that much.
They believe in their own thought. I mean, we're going to show you. You brought up what Democrats have said in the past, inciting people to protest, even riot, and more. Let's watch this. Watch.
You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about.
Would I like to debate this gentleman? And I said, no. I said, if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
You got to be ready to take a punch. You got to be ready to throw a punch.
You get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
Everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
Get up in the face of some Congress people.
It does you any good running away from Donald Trump. I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
Your reaction? This is just pathetic.
It's horrible, Liz. Democrats feel like that they can use any approach possible to get their agenda pushed through. What they are doing right now with the Supreme Court justices, the fact that this opinion was possibly even leaked is absolutely terrible for this country. The Supreme Court needs to issue this opinion immediately. We don't need to wait any longer. They need to issue the opinion because the Democrats are only going to create more hostility and create more violent protests.
We don't want to be here in this country where we're at. We've never been here like this before. You know, you look back in the latter part, the early part of the 2000s, we never thought this would be here like this. I mean, this Democrat Party has been whipsawed, and it's normalizing violence, and that's wrong. That's not who we are as a nation at all. And we're about law and order and debate and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. That's it. And so in the past, we've had bipartisanship, but now we have bullying. And we don't want it on either side of the political aisle. By the way, Politico polls show majority of Americans worry about inflation and recession, not cultural issues. They rank down on that list. The majority of voters already changed parties to align with their beliefs on cultural issues and things like abortion. So I don't know what they're thinking they're going to do. It's not going to pull out, you know, or pull people to their side. They're already there. I mean, and we've had capitalism has been under attack. Remember President Barack Obama, as Senator Elizabeth Warren said, if you got a business, you didn't build that, and then said nothing when Democrats destroyed those small businesses and left-wing Antifa rioters and protesters broke lockdown rules and destroyed those small businesses? That's what the Democrat Party is about today. It's not who they are.
They spent the whole last year pushing to defund the police, and now they're acting like that they promote and support the police. Everything they have touched has created a crisis for everyday Americans. The people back home in Missouri, what they care about is to put food on their table, clothes on their back, and gasoline in their cars. But unfortunately, under the policies of the Democrats, they can't afford to.
When I said it's not who they are, Democrats Representative Henry Cuellar of Texas, he's saying this, Congressman. He's saying the progressives are trying to define what the Democrat Party is. He's saying they cannot, and they should not. They don't get to define what the Democrat Party is. The Democrats get to, the moderates, the centrists, and the voices that now are the silent majority in that party. Congressman Jason Smith, thank you so much. The loud silence of that is deafening. It's good to have you on. Come back soon.